Max thought he'd found love with Ella, but when her high society friends called him beneath her, she didn't defend him. She agreed. Devastated, Max walked away, vowing to rebuild. 18 months later, he's thriving, while Ella's perfect new life crumbles. When she begs for a second chance, will Max forgive or expose the truth about her shallow world? Max's boots crunched against the gravel trail as he guided a group of hikers through Yosemite's mist-soaked forest, pointing out a red-tailed hawk circling above. His voice carried the quiet confidence of someone who'd spent years navigating these paths, reading the land like a book. At 30, he was a park ranger with a knack for spotting hidden trails and a passion for teaching visitors why every pine needle mattered to the ecosystem. Today's group hung on his words, a mix of tourists and locals scribbling notes as he explained how to identify bear tracks. But his mind wasn't fully here. It kept drifting to Ella, his girlfriend of 18 months, and the growing distance between them. Last night's argument replayed in his head. Ella, a 28-year-old consultant in San Francisco's cutthroat tech scene, had come home late, her heels clicking sharply on her condo's hardwood floor. Max had been sprawled on her couch, scrolling through trail maps for their weekend getaway. "You're still planning the camping trip?" she'd asked, her tone clipped, like she was reviewing a bad pitch deck. "My firm's gala is that night. I thought you'd come." Max had shrugged, assuming they'd compromise. "I can skip it. You said those events are just schmoozing." Her eyes had narrowed. "They're not just anything, Max. They're my career." He'd moved into her sleek Mission District condo 3 months ago, hoping it'd bridge their worlds. They'd met at a friend's rooftop party, where Ella had laughed at his stories of rescuing stranded climbers and seemed genuinely curious about his life. Her sharp wit and ambition drew him in. She could dissect a company's strategy in minutes, her mind a steel trap for data. But lately, her fascination had curdled into something else. She'd started dodging his invitations to hike, citing work deadlines. Her friends, all polished MBAs, asked pointed questions about his outdoor gig, their smiles thin as they sipped overpriced cocktails. Max felt like an exhibit she wasn't sure how to explain. Now, as he led the hikers back to the ranger station, his phone buzzed. A text from Ella. "We need to talk tonight. Important." His stomach twisted. He'd sensed this coming, the way you sense a storm before the clouds roll in. After dismissing the group, he drove his beat-up Jeep to the city, the Sierra Peaks fading in his rear view. San Francisco's skyline loomed, all glass and ambition, a world that felt less like home every day. Ella's condo was alive with the hum of her firm's gala when he arrived. He'd borrowed a blazer from a friend, the sleeves slightly too short, and stood awkwardly by the bar, nursing a beer. The room buzzed with tech execs in tailored suits, their conversations a maze of jargon about AI, scaling, and venture capital. Ella worked the crowd, her laugh bright but practiced, her hand grazing shoulders as she networked. Max caught her eye, but she looked away, her smile faltering. Claire, Ella's colleague, sauntered over, her wine glass tilting as she sized him up. "So Max still playing Forrest Guide?" Her voice dripped with condescension, loud enough to draw glances. "Ever think about a real career? Something scalable?" A few nearby suits chuckled. Max forced a grin, his jaw tight. "I like my work. Keeps me grounded." Claire raised an eyebrow. "Grounded's cute, but Ella's going places. She needs someone who can keep up." Before he could respond, Ella appeared, her face a mask of discomfort. "Claire, let's not," she started, but Claire cut her off. "Oh, come on, Ella. You said it yourself. He's sweet, but he's not exactly boardroom material." The words hit like a punch. Max turned to Ella, waiting for her to push back. Instead, she looked down, her silence louder than the room's chatter. His chest tightened. "Ella, you agree with her?" he asked, voice low. She hesitated, then met his eyes, her expression a mix of guilt and resolve. "Max, I care about you, but my friends, they think you're holding me back. I need someone who fits my world, not someone I have to explain." The room seemed to tilt. He'd known her friends judged him, but hearing it from her lips was a blade. "So I'm an embarrassment?" he asked, his voice steady despite the ache. She flinched but didn't deny it. I'm tired of making excuses for you, she said, almost whispering. Your job, your priorities, they don't align with mine. Max set his beer down, the clink against the bar final. Good to know where we stand. He walked out, ignoring her half-hearted call of his name. The city's lights blurred as he drove back to Yosemite, his hands gripping the wheel. By midnight, he was at her condo again, but not to talk. He packed his gear, boots, maps, a worn journal of trail notes, each item a piece of the life she dismissed. Ella stood in the doorway, her arms crossed. You're just leaving? We can work this out, she said, her voice shaky. No, Ella, Max said, zipping his bag. You made it clear I don't belong in your world. I'm done trying to fit. He loaded his Jeep, her silhouette fading in the rear view as he drove into the night. The forest's quiet welcomed him back, a stark contrast to the city's noise. For the first time in months, he breathed freely, the weight of her expectations gone. Back at his cabin, Max sat on the porch, the stars sharp above. Anger mixed with clarity. He wouldn't chase her approval or anyone's. He'd rebuild on his terms. Opening his laptop, he started typing, the words flowing fast. A blog post about Yosemite's endangered species, his first step toward a bigger purpose. Ella's words stung, but they'd lit a fire. He'd show her, not by becoming her version of success, but by owning his own. Max woke to the chirp of his alarm in his Yosemite cabin, the dawn light filtering through pine branches. The sting of Ella's betrayal lingered, but he channeled it into action. He enrolled in an online environmental science program at UC Davis, juggling coursework with his ranger duties. By day, he led hikers through granite trails, teaching them about soil erosion and native flora. At night, he studied, his laptop screen glowing as he dissected case studies on habitat restoration. Sleep became optional. Purpose was his fuel. His blog, launched impulsively after the breakup, became a daily ritual. Titled Wild Roots, it chronicled his work, saving a stranded eagle, mapping fire-damaged trails, advocating for stricter park protections. His posts, raw and grounded in experience, drew comments from hikers and conservationists. A local nonprofit noticed, inviting him to speak at a community cleanup. Max stood before a small crowd, his voice steady as he explained how invasive plants choke native ecosystems. Applause followed, and a volunteer coordinator handed him a card. We need voices like yours. Emboldened, Max started eco-tours, guiding small groups through Yosemite's backcountry. He taught them to spot owl nests and avoid fragile moss beds, his enthusiasm infectious. A tech worker from Oakland booked a tour, then posted a glowing review online, calling Max the real deal. Bookings surged. His bank account, once scraped thin by city rent, grew modestly but steadily. Each tour felt like a defiance of Ella's dismissal, proof he didn't need her world to thrive. Meanwhile, word trickled through mutual friends about Ella's new life. She'd started dating Derek, a tech VP with a Stanford MBA and a condo in Pacific Heights. Their Instagram posts screamed perfection, yacht trips, galas, caption quotes about leveling up. But a friend, Sam, shared a different story over coffee in Fresno. Ella's not herself, he said, stirring his latte. Derek's all about control, schedules her workouts, critiques her pitches. She looks drained. Much nodded and surprised. Ella's choice made sense. Derek was the polished upgrade she'd wanted him to be. But Sam's next words caught him off guard. She asked about you. Wanted to know if you're still out in the woods. Max brushed it off, focusing on his own path. His blog caught the eye of a Sierra Club chapter, who invited him to co-lead a reforestation project. He spent weekends planting saplings, dirt under his nails, alongside volunteers who valued impact over status. One volunteer, Mia, a wildlife biologist, stood out. She matched his pace, hauling seedlings and debating conservation policy with sharp insight. After a long day, they sat by a campfire, her questions about his ranger work sparking a connection. You ever think about scaling this? She asked, gesturing to the saplings. Policy work could amplify your impact. Max grinned. Maybe. Just don't tell me to wear a suit. His confidence grew, but tension brewed. Ella's name popped up in a group chat when Sam forwarded a screenshot. her firm's newsletter praising her latest project. Max felt a flicker of doubt. Had he misjudged her ambition? Then Sam called. Ella's team lost a big client, he said. Derek's been pushing her to network harder, but she's cracking under the pressure. Max hung up, conflicted. Part of him wanted her to falter validation for his pain. But another part, quieter, hoped she'd find her own way, free of Derek's grip. Max's tour sold out weeks in advance, and his blog posts started ranking on search engines. A local news outlet interviewed him about fire prevention, his face appearing on their site alongside quotes about grassroots conservation. Mia shared the article on social media, tagging him with, "This guy's changing the game." The post spread, earning likes from strangers and a few familiar names from Ella's circle. Max noticed, but didn't dwell. He was too busy planning a new tour route and prepping for his next exam. Then came an unexpected email. A national conservation group offered him a part-time role, analyzing park policies. It paid better than his ranger gig and promised influence on federal land protections. Max hesitated. He loved the trails, but Mia's words echoed. This was his chance to scale up. He accepted, signing the contract with a mix of pride and nerves. As he closed his laptop, his phone lit up with a text from an unknown number. "Saw your article. You're killing it, Max. Can we talk?" Yeah. He stared at the screen, his thumb hovering over the reply button. The past rushed back. Her cold words, her silence at the gala. He typed a single word, "Why?" and hit send, his heart racing as he braced for what came next. Max adjusted his backpack, leading a group of eco-tourists through Yosemite Meadow, the scent of wild sage sharp in the air. His new role with the conservation group had him balancing fieldwork with policy research, and today's tour was a test run for a new route showcasing reforestation efforts. Mia walked beside him, her camera clicking as she documented native grasses reclaiming a burn scar. Their easy banter, debating soil microbes and park funding, kept the group engaged, but Max's phone buzzed persistently in his pocket. Another text from Ella. "Please, just coffee. I need to explain." He ignored it, focusing on a tourist's question about erosion control. Weeks earlier, Ella's messages had started as cautious probes, congratulating him on his blog's success, mentioning shared memories like their old hike in Marin. Max had kept responses short, unsure of her motives. Now, her insistence grew, each text carrying an urgency that felt like a hook trying to reel him back. He'd moved on, his life finally aligned with his values. Yet her words stirred a nagging curiosity. What did she want? Mia noticed his distraction, nudging him. "You okay? You check your phone 3 times in 10 minutes. Max sighed, pocketing it. Just old baggage resurfacing. The tension broke at their friend Sam's wedding in Napa Valley, a sprawling vineyard event with fairy lights strung across oak trees. Max arrived with Mia, their hands brushing as they laughed over a shared joke about invasive species. Guests mingled, clinking glasses of Cabernet, and Max felt at ease, his confidence buoyed by months of building something real. Mia, in her element, swapped stories with a botanist about wetland restoration, her passion matching his. Then he saw Ella across the lawn, standing stiffly next to Derek, her smile tight as he scrolled through his phone mid-conversation. Ella's eyes locked on Max, her expression shifting from surprise to calculation. She excused herself from Derek and approached, her steps deliberate. "Max, you made it," she said, her voice warm but edged with something fragile. "And you must be Mia. I'm Ella." Mia shook her hand, unfazed. "Heard a lot about you. Max speaks highly of your work." Ella's smile flickered, caught off guard by Mia's confidence. "He's always been kind," she said, her gaze darting to Max, searching for a reaction. The reception unfolded smoothly until Ella pulled Max aside during a slow song, her hand lingering on his arm. "Can we talk? Alone?" she asked, her voice low. Max hesitated, glancing at Mia, who was laughing with Sam's cousin. He nodded, following Ella to a quiet corner by the vineyard's edge, the hum of crickets filling the silence. "I've been thinking about us," Ella started, her fingers twisting around her glass. "I messed up, Max. I see now what you were building, your tours, your blog, all of it. I was wrong to think you didn't fit my world. Max crossed his arms, his jaw tight. You didn't just think it, Ella. You said I was beneath you, an embarrassment to your career. Her face crumpled, but she pressed on. I was caught up in appearances and what my friends thought. Derek seemed perfect, but he's controlling. My job's a mess, and I'm miserable. You were real, Max. I see that now. Her voice cracked, pleading. Can we try again? The words hit hard, but not like they would have months ago. Max saw her desperation, the cracks in her polished facade, but he felt no pull to fix it. Ella, you didn't want me. You wanted a version of me that fit your checklist. I've built something that matters to me, with people who get it. He nodded toward Mia, who was now teaching a kid how to identify constellations. Ella's eyes followed, narrowing. She's not right for you, she said, her tone sharp. She's just riding your success, latching onto your new fame. Much Bashau schnepped. You don't get to do that, he said, his voice steady but cold. Mia's my partner, not a prop. She values what I do because she lives it too. You never saw me, Ella. You saw a project to mold into your world. Ella flinched, her composure unraveling. I'm trying to make this right, she said, her voice rising. I'm admitting I was wrong. Max shook his head. This isn't about right or wrong. It's about who we are. I'm not your backup plan. Mia appeared, sensing the tension. Everything okay? She asked, her hand brushing Max's. He nodded, grateful for her presence. We're done here, he said, turning away from Ella, who stood frozen, her glass trembling in her hand. As Max and Mia rejoined the party, Ella's gaze followed, her confidence replaced by something raw, regret, maybe, or the dawning realization that she'd lost something she couldn't reclaim. Back at the dance floor, Max felt lighter, the weight of Ella's expectations gone. Mia pulled him into a slow dance, her smile grounding him. She's struggling, isn't she? Mia whispered. Max nodded. She's figuring out what she traded for status. But that's not my fight anymore. The music swelled, and Max let himself sink into the moment, his future clear for the first time in years. Max leaned over a topographic map in his Yosemite office, plotting a new trail for his eco-tours while Mia cataloged soil samples nearby. His blog, Wild Roots, had exploded after the Napa wedding, with followers sharing his posts on sustainable trail maintenance. A podcast producer from San Francisco emailed, inviting him to discuss fire ecology on Green Pulse, a show with thousands of listeners. Max hesitated. Public speaking wasn't his strength, but Mia nudged him. Your voice matters, she said, sealing his decision. He recorded the episode, his passion for conservation cutting through his nerves, and the episode dropped a week later, racking up downloads overnight. Meanwhile, Ella's life spiraled. Sam, their mutual friend, texted Max during a break between tours. Ella's a mess. Derek dumped her after a fight at the office. She's off her game at work too. Max read the message while guiding a group through a sequoia grove, his focus split. He didn't relish Ella's pain, but her attempt to undermine Mia at the wedding had hardened his resolve. She'd made her choice, and he owed her nothing. Still, Sam's next text landed heavier. She saw your podcast. Kept saying she didn't realize how big you'd gotten. Ella's firm had passed her over for a promotion, a blow Sam detailed in a call later that night. Her team's whispering she's too focused on optics, he said. Derek didn't help, paraded her at events, but trashed her work to colleagues. Max listened, his phone pressed to his ear as he paced his cabin. Ella's curated image, perfect partner, perfect career, had backfired. Her colleagues, once dazzled by her polish, now saw her as distracted, her ambition overshadowed by office politics. Max hung up, a mix of vindication and unease settling in. He'd wanted her to see his worth, but her collapse felt hollow. Max's own trajectory soared. The podcast spiked his blog's traffic, and a national park advocacy group offered him a full-time role drafting policy proposals. It meant less time on trails, but a chance to shape land use laws across California. He accepted, negotiating to keep leading weekend tours. Mia joined him on a scouting trip for a new route, their boots sinking into muddy paths as they debated carbon sequestration. Her sharp questions pushed him to refine his ideas, their partnership seamless. "You're building something huge," she said, tossing him a water bottle. "Don't stop now." Ella's desperation surfaced in a new wave of messages. "Max, I'm sorry for what I said at the wedding. Can we meet? I need to explain." Max ignored them, but her persistence grew, shifting from text to a voicemail left after midnight. "I know I hurt you, but I'm drowning here. Please." Her voice trembled, a stark contrast to her old confidence. Max deleted it, unwilling to revisit the past. But Sam's updates painted a clearer picture. Ella had quit her job, fed up with the toxic grind. She'd moved to a smaller apartment, trading her high-rise for something affordable, and started therapy, grappling with who she'd become. Max's success drew attention. A Bay Area magazine ran a feature on his tours, complete with photos of him explaining watershed cycles to awestruck kids. Social media amplified the story, and Mia posted it with a caption, "This guy's redefining conservation." The post went viral, catching eyes in Ella's old circle. Sam mentioned Claire, Ella's sharp-tongued friend, had commented, "Didn't expect the park guy to outshine us all." Max smirked, but the validation felt fleeting. His real win was the community he'd built, volunteers, scientists, hikers, who saw his work as vital, not quaint. Ella made one last move, showing up at a park cleanup Max organized. He spotted her among the volunteers, picking up trash along a riverbank, her movements hesitant. After the event, she approached, her voice steady but soft. "I didn't come to beg," she said, holding up a hand. "I just wanted to see what you're doing. It's inspiring." Max nodded, guarded. "Why are you here, Ella?" She exhaled, meeting his eyes. "I lost myself trying to fit a mold. Your work, it's real. I'm trying to find that for myself." She paused, then added, "I'm sorry for everything. I mean it." Max studied her, seeing no trace of the calculated charm she once wielded. "I appreciate that," he said, his tone neutral. "But I'm not looking back." Ella nodded, a flicker of acceptance in her eyes, and walked away, joining the volunteers packing up. Max turned to Mia, who'd watched the exchange from a distance. "She's trying," Mia said, shrugging. "But you don't owe her closure." Max squeezed her hand, the river's rush grounding him. His future was here, in the work and people who valued him as he was. Max crouched beside a stream in Yosemite, showing a group of school kids how to test water pH, his hand steady as he dipped a strip into the current. His new role with the National Conservation Group had him drafting policy by day, but he carved out weekends for outreach, teaching young minds about ecosystems. Mia worked nearby, guiding another group through a seed-planting exercise, her laughter carrying over the kids' chatter. Their shared mission, protecting land through education and advocacy, felt like the life Max had always wanted, built on his own terms. His blog, Wild Roots, now had a steady following, with readers citing his posts in local council meetings, pushing for stricter park protections. The Green Pulse podcast invited him back, this time to discuss urban sprawl's impact on watersheds. Max prepared meticulously, weaving data with stories of guiding hikers through fragile habitats. The episode aired, sparking a flurry of emails from environmental groups nationwide, one offering him a lead role in a coastal restoration project. He and Mia debated it over dinner, weighing the chance to influence broader policy against their love for Yosemite's trails. Ella's name surfaced less often now, but Sam provided updates during a rare call. "She's volunteering at a community garden," he said, his voice tinged with surprise. "Says it's the first time she's felt useful in years." Ella had started a blog of her own, not about corporate success, but about rediscovering purpose through small acts like composting and urban greening. Max checked it once, noting her earnest tone, free of the polished veneer she once prized. Her posts didn't mention him, but they echoed themes he'd championed: sustainability, authenticity. He closed the tab, feeling no bitterness, only distance. Max's work gained momentum. He led a coalition to restore a fire-damaged valley, coordinating volunteers to plant native shrubs while Mia analyzed soil recovery rates. Their data caught the attention of a state senator who invited Max to testify at a hearing on land use reform. Standing before lawmakers, he argued for buffer zones around parks, his voice carrying the weight of years on the ground. The senator later pulled him aside, hinting at a potential advisory role. Max drove home, stunned, texting Mia, "Might be shaping policy in Sacramento soon." Her reply was instant. "You're unstoppable." Ella's transformation continued, though Max learned of it indirectly. At a regional conservation conference, a presenter mentioned a new urban gardening initiative in San Francisco, crediting a volunteer named Ella for securing community grants. Max, there to pitch his coalition's work, overheard her name and felt a flicker of respect. She found her own path, not as a rival, but as someone finally asking herself hard questions. He didn't dwell on it, focusing instead on his presentation, which earned a standing ovation from activists and scientists alike. The final chapter unfolded at a bay cleanup event Max and Mia organized. Volunteers scoured the shoreline, hauling plastic and debris, while Max explained microplastics' impact to a local reporter. Halfway through, he spotted Ella among the crowd, sorting trash with quiet focus. She approached him during a break, her posture open, no trace of the desperation from months ago. "I'm not here to stir things up," she said, her voice steady. "I just wanted to support this. And to say I'm sorry, not for a second chance, but because I didn't see your value back then. I'm learning what matters now." Max nodded, his guard softening. "You're doing good work here," he said, gesturing to the cleanup. "Keep it up." Ella smiled, a genuine one, and rejoined the volunteers. Mia, watching from a distance, joined Max, her hands slipping into his. "That looked like closure," she said, her tone light but knowing. Max squeezed her hand. "It's her closure, not mine. I've been free for a while." As the event wrapped, Max and Mia stood by the water, planning their next project, a study on coastal erosion they'd pitched to the state. The sunset cast a glow over the bay, and Max felt a quiet certainty. He'd build a life rooted in purpose, surrounded by people who saw him clearly. Ella's journey, parallel but separate, proved that growth was possible, even for those who'd once measured worth by status. Max turned to Mia, her eyes bright with ideas, and knew he'd found his true north, not in revenge, but in living authentically.